echoes of the Old North, long before cathedrals touched the sky of Europe, and centuries before the thunder of Christian bells silenced the forests of Scandinavia. There were gods who ruled not from heaven, but from realms built on power, nature, and fate. These were the Norse gods, born of fire and ice, of war and wisdom, of chaos and order. Their stories are etched, not in stone tablets or sacred scrolls, but in the sagas whispered across fjords and carried through generations of Viking blood. This story is a guide to the pantheon of Norse deities, a journey through the roots of ancient belief in the cold north. We will uncover the powerful Aesir, led by the all-knowing Odin, and the wise Vanir, gods of fertility and harmony. Each god has a distinct purpose, a defined place in the cosmos of Norse myth, with relationships that range from deeply loyal to dangerously fragile. You will meet Thor, the god of thunder and protector of mankind, and his complex brother Loki, the shapeshifter whose trickery knows no bounds. We will enter Asgard, the realm of the gods, and gaze upon the world tree that binds the 9 realms of Norse cosmology together. Every character, from Freyja to Heimdall, from Balder to Frigg, holds a thread in the intricate tapestry of fate that the Norns weave. This is not merely a retelling of myths. It is a guided entry into a world shaped by values of courage, loyalty, sacrifice, and doom. The Norse gods were not immortal in the traditional sense. They could bleed, they could die, and they knew that one day, even they would fall in the fires of Ragnarok. This guide will cover who the Norse gods were, how they were worshipped, and what lessons still echo from their ancient tales. Each chapter will explain a key figure or concept in vivid detail, rooted in archaeological finds, surviving texts like the Poetic Edda and the Prose Edda, and centuries of scholarly interpretation. Let us now open the gates of Asgard and walk into the world where gods shaped men and men shaped gods. Odin the Allfather and the price of wisdom. At the center of the Norse pantheon stands Odin, known as the Allfather. He is not simply a god of war or power, but a being consumed by an unrelenting hunger for knowledge. His domain is vast: wisdom, war, death, poetry, and magic. Odin is a figure of contradiction, a ruler who sacrifices, a warrior who values thought over strength, a god who embraces fate, even as he tries to change it. Odin rules from Asgard, seated upon his high throne. From there, he can see all the worlds. Midgard, the realm of humans, Jotunheim, land of the giants, and even Niflheim, the icy abyss of the dead. He is always accompanied by 2 ravens, Hugin and Munin, whose names mean thought and memory. These birds fly across the realms each day, gathering news and whispering secrets into Odin's ears. But Odin's most defining trait is his sacrifice for wisdom. He gave up one of his eyes at Mimir's well to drink the water of knowledge. The well lies beneath one of the roots of Yggdrasil, the world tree, and is guarded by Mimir, a being of immense insight. Odin did not hesitate. In exchange for the wisdom of the ages, he offered his right eye, forever bearing the mark of his decision. He later hung himself for 9 days and 9 nights on the branches of Yggdrasil, pierced by his own spear, to gain the secrets of the runes, the mystical symbols of magic and language. As a war god, Odin does not fight in the front lines. He inspires fury, strategy, and prophecy. He chooses the slain heroes on the battlefield through his sending them to Valhalla, the golden hall where they will prepare for the end of days. Yet Odin is also associated with deceit and manipulation. He often wanders the world in disguise, testing mortals and gods alike. Odin's name comes from the Old Norse word or, which means frenzy, inspiration, or rage. This reflects his wild, unpredictable energy. Statues and amulets bearing his image have been discovered across Scandinavia and England, especially near burial sites. Worship of Odin was particularly strong among warriors and rulers, who viewed him as a symbol of power and foresight. Thor, the defender of Midgard and god of thunder. Among the Norse gods, none is more feared by giants or more beloved by mortals than Thor, the Thunderer. He is the son of Odin, the Allfather, and Yor, the personification of the earth. Thor is not a king nor a strategist, but he is the strongest warrior in the Norse pantheon, a protector without equal. His loyalty lies with Midgard, the realm of humans, and he defends it with fury and determination against all that threatens its balance. Thor is most recognized by his hammer. It is short-handled, heavy, and capable of summoning lightning. Megalania never misses its target and always returns to his hand. To wield it properly, Thor wears the belt which doubles his immense strength, and iron gauntlets known as which stabilize his grip. With these items, he becomes a force of unstoppable might. Despite his physical dominance, Thor is not mindless. He possesses a strong sense of duty and a deep-rooted code of honor. He is brave, direct, and unafraid of death. He travels across the sky in a chariot pulled by two goats Tangrasnir, whose names mean teeth-bearer and tooth. When slain and cooked, Thor can resurrect them the next day, as long as their bones remain unbroken. This peculiar detail reflects the cyclical nature of life and power in Norse belief. Many of Thor's stories involve his battles against the Jotnar, the frost giants, who constantly seek to overthrow the gods. In one tale, Thor is tricked into lifting a cat, which turns out to be the Midgard serpent in disguise. In another, he disguises himself as Freyja, the goddess of love, to infiltrate a giant's hall and retrieve his stolen hammer. These myths blend violence with humor, showing that Thor's strength is matched by occasional bursts of cleverness. The worship of Thor was widespread among the common people of Scandinavia. His hammer became a symbol of protection, carved into stones and worn as amulets. Thor's Day, now known as Thursday, honors his legacy. Unlike Odin, Thor had no need for mystery. He stood openly, thunder in hand, as a guardian of both gods and mortals. Loki, the trickster and master of chaos. In the halls of Asgard, where strength and honor are praised, one figure stands apart, not for loyalty or bravery, but for cunning and unpredictability. Loki, the trickster god, is neither fully ally nor enemy. He's a shapeshifter, a deceiver, and a master manipulator, who challenges the order of the gods with laughter and lies. Yet, without Loki, Norse mythology would lose its most complex and disturbing element, the unpredictable force of chaos itself. Loki is not a god by birth. He is a giant, born of the Jotun and the mother Lof, yet accepted into the ranks of the Aesir. Due to his close bond with Odin, their blood brotherhood binds them, and for a time, Loki is counted among the gods. He is handsome, clever, persuasive, and skilled in sorcery. His magic allows him to change shape at will, into animals, old men, and even women, which he often uses to get himself, or others, out of trouble. Yet Loki's cleverness is a double-edged sword. In one tale, when a giant builder demands the sun, the moon, and the goddess Freyja as payment for constructing Asgard's walls, it is Loki who arranges the trick to avoid the deal. He transforms into a mare and lures away the builder's stallion. Months later, Loki gives birth to an 8-legged horse, Sleipnir, which he presents to Odin. This event, strange as it may seem, reflects Loki's unpredictable role in shaping fate. But Loki's actions grow darker over time. He fathers monstrous offspring: Fenrir, the wolf, Jarmungandr, the world serpent, and Hel, ruler of the dead. These children are not accidents. They are living symbols of chaos destined to rise at Ragnarok. Loki himself becomes more dangerous, his jokes sharper, his betrayals deeper. When Balder, the beloved god of light, is killed by a dart of mistletoe, it is Loki who orchestrates the event. His refusal to weep for Balder's return seals the goddess' fate and turns the Aesir against him. Loki's name likely comes from the Old Norse word luka, meaning to close or to end, fitting for a being tied to the downfall of the gods. Despite his betrayal, he is not purely evil. In early myths, Loki often helps the gods, saving them through trickery as often as he endangers them. His duality has made him a symbol of transformation, rebellion, and unpredictable fate. Freyja, goddess of love, war, and sorcery. Freyja is one of the most complex and powerful figures in Norse mythology. She comes from the Vanir, the group of gods associated with fertility, nature, and magic, and was later integrated into the Aesir pantheon after a long war between the two divine tribes. As part of the peace settlement, Freyja and her family moved to Asgard, where she quickly became one of the most influential and widely venerated deities. Freyja is the daughter of Njord, the sea god, and twin sister of Freyja, the god of harvest and prosperity. Yet, Freyja is far more than a goddess of love and fertility. One of her most significant roles is choosing half of the fallen warriors in battle. Freyja is also the most skilled practitioner of cider, a powerful Norse magic that involves seeing and shaping destiny. It is said she taught this mysterious art to Odin himself. Her magical cloak of falcon feathers allows her to fly across the 9 realms, and she often assists other gods by using her sorcery and insight into unseen realms. She is famously associated with the necklace, a dazzling piece of craftsmanship made by 4 dwarves. Freyja's passionate nature and her determination to obtain the necklace reflect her unashamed control over her desires, a trait that both fascinated and unsettled the ancient Norse. Freyja's cult was widespread in Scandinavia, especially in Sweden. Unlike most female deities, she was worshipped equally in matters of love and war. She was prayed to by warriors, farmers, women in childbirth, and practitioners of cider. Her name appears in many Scandinavian place names, and her legacy survives in traditions and folklore long after the arrival of Christianity. The Aesir and Vanir, 2 tribes of the gods. The Norse pantheon is not a single unified family. It is made up of 2 distinct groups of gods, the Aesir and the Vanir. Their differences are not only in origin, but in function, belief, and philosophy. The Aesir are associated with power, war, kingship, and order. They live in Asgard and include Odin, Thor, Frigg, Balder, and Tyr. The Vanir, by contrast, are tied to nature, fertility, peace, and prophecy. Their home is Vanaheim, and their most prominent members are Unveiled. In the early days of the cosmos, these 2 groups came into conflict. The Aesir, who valued strength and control, distrusted the Vanir's magic and independence. The Vanir, who lived in harmony with the natural world and were masters of cider magic, viewed the Aesir as aggressive and arrogant. Tensions grew until war broke out, a divine conflict known simply as the Aesir-Vanir War. The war lasted for a long time. It was brutal, and neither side could achieve total victory. Eventually, a truce was called to seal their peace. Both tribes exchanged hostages. The Vanir sent Njord and his children Freyja and Freyja to live among the Aesir. In return, the Aesir sent the wise Mimir and the god Hanir. This exchange marked the beginning of unity, and from then on, the 2 tribes ruled together, combining their powers and knowledge. This fusion allowed Norse mythology to balance opposites: war and peace, order and nature, reason and magic. It also explains the diversity of gods within the same mythology. Odin, a figure of wisdom and war, stands beside Freyja, a goddess of love and sorcery, in the same divine court. Their cooperation reflects an important Norse idea that power does not come from one source alone, but from the balance between contrasting forces. The story of the 2 tribes may reflect historical cultural changes in ancient Scandinavia. Some scholars believe the Vanir represent older, agricultural deities worshipped by early farming communities, while the Aesir reflect the warrior gods favored by later tribal societies. The peaceful resolution of the war may symbolize the merging of beliefs over time. Heimdall, guardian of the Rainbow Bridge. Heimdall, the ever-watchful sentinel of Asgard, holds a role unlike any other in the Norse pantheon. He is not a war god, nor a seeker of glory or wisdom. Instead, Heimdall is the guardian of Bifrost, the shimmering rainbow bridge that connects the realm of gods to the world of humans. He stands alone at its edge, day and night, eyes wide open, ears attuned to the faintest sound, prepared to face any threat that dares cross into the home of the gods. Heimdall's senses are legendary. It is said he can hear the grass grow, hear wool growing on sheep, and see to the ends of the world, even in the dark of night. He requires no sleep and remains constantly alert. These traits are not poetic exaggeration but essential parts of his divine design. Heimdall was created with extraordinary gifts to serve a single, vital purpose: to guard Asgard from the forces of chaos until the very end. He resides in Himinbjörg, the heavenly cliffs, where Bifrost touches the sky. From this high perch, he watches the realms, awaiting the moment when danger finally comes. That moment is fated. When the final battle Ragnarok begins, Heimdall will blow his horn. Its echo will thunder across all 9 worlds, calling the gods to arms and marking the fall of the old order. In that final battle, Heimdall will face Loki, the trickster who once walked among the gods but betrayed them all. The two are destined to kill each other, symbolizing the ultimate clash between unwavering vigilance and destructive deceit. This confrontation is not only a duel of weapons but of meaning, between the guardian, who defends, and the betrayer who unravels. Heimdall's influence extends beyond battle. In an ancient poem, he is said to have traveled in disguise among early humans, fathering the three social classes: thralls, freemen, and nobles. This places him not only as a protector of the divine but also as a shaper of human society, acting from the shadows to establish order and structure. Balder the Shining One and the death that shook the gods. In a world ruled by strength, war, and cunning, Balder stood as a rare light, a god of peace, justice, and purity. He was the son of Odin, the Allfather, and Frigg, the queen of Asgard. Dreams of death. The gods, alarmed by these visions, feared a tragic destiny. His mother, Frigg, sought to prevent it. She traveled across the realms and asked every creature, element, and object to swear never to harm Balder. Odin bowed his head, for he knew that this was the beginning of the end. Frigg, heartbroken, pleaded for someone to journey to Hell and beg for Balder's return. I rode for 9 days and nights through darkness to reach the goddess Hel, ruler of the dead. She agreed to release Balder, but only if every being in existence would weep for him. All did, except one, a giantess named Dukeke, who refused. She is believed to have been Loki in disguise. Fire, stone, water, animals, weapons, and disease all agreed. Only mistletoe was overlooked. It seemed too small, too harmless to matter. From the beginning, Balder was unlike the others. He was radiant, wise beyond his years, gentle in speech. Each blow bounced off without a mark. But Loki, the shapeshifter and trickster, saw an opportunity. He crafted a small dart from mistletoe and handed it to Hechar, Balder's blind brother. Then he guided Aesir's hand. The dart flew, struck Balder in the heart, and killed him instantly. And beloved by all beings, his mere presence brought harmony. Among the gods, none were more admired. And yet, it was Balder who would die first. Not in battle, but through treachery and fate. As Balder grew, dark dreams began to disturb his sleep. With Balder now believed to be invulnerable, the gods turned his invincibility into sport. They threw stones and spears at him. They struck him with blades and hammers. Silence fell upon Asgard. The gods could not comprehend what had happened. Laughter turned to grief. Frigg, the silent queen of fate and motherhood. Frigg, queen of the Aesir and wife of Odin, is one of the most enigmatic figures in Norse mythology. She is not known for battle or chaos, but for wisdom, dignity, and devotion. From there, she sees the threads of destiny stretching far into the future. When Balder dreamed of his own death, it was Frigg who was consumed by fear. She rode across the worlds and begged every living and lifeless thing to swear an oath not to harm him. Fire, stone, iron, beasts, and sickness all promised to spare her son, but she overlooked one small plant. Too young and fragile, she believed it posed no threat. This one omission led to Balder's death, pierced by a dart of mistletoe, guided by Loki's deception. Unlike Odin, who acts to manipulate fate, Frigg chooses silence. She watches, she knows, but she rarely intervenes. This quiet wisdom makes her both powerful and tragic. As the goddess of marriage, motherhood, and fate, her presence commands quiet respect. Her influence lies not in the clash of swords but in the shaping of lives, the binding of families, and the weight of knowledge that cannot be spoken. She begged the gods to retrieve her son from the land of the dead. When Hel agreed to return him if all beings wept, Frigg hoped again. But one refusal, likely Loki in disguise, shattered that hope. Balder remained in Hell, and Frigg remained silent. She is the only deity, apart from Odin himself, who is allowed to sit upon Hidskjalf, the high seat from which all the 9 realms are visible. Her most defining story is that of her son Balder. Her love had been deep, her efforts heroic, yet she had failed. Ragnarök, twilight of the gods, and the new beginning. In Norse mythology, Ragnarök is not just the end of the gods, it is the end of the world as it is known. It is not a punishment, nor an accident, but a destiny long foretold, even by the gods themselves. Humanity collapses into war and chaos. Brothers kill brothers. Morality dies. Fenrir, the great wolf, opens his jaws wide enough to devour the world. Jomunganda, the world serpent, rises from the sea, poisoning the skies with his breath. From the land of the dead, Hell releases her army. On the fiery ship Naglfar, built from the nails of the dead, the enemies of the gods sail toward the plain of Vigrid, the final battlefield. The sun and moon are swallowed by wolves, and the sky turns black. The world tree, Igudesale, trembles. The dead begin to rise, and then the final battle begins. From the earliest days, the Aesir knew that their power would not last forever. Ragnarök is the final reckoning, the moment when all debts are paid, all bonds broken, and all worlds reshaped. It begins with signs. The great winters arrive, 3 in a row, with no summers in between. Loki escapes his chains. His monstrous children march with him. The gods do not flee. They prepare. Odin rides to meet Fenrir, knowing he will fall. Thor meets Jomunganda, and though he slays the serpent, he takes only 9 steps before collapsing from its venom. A new sun rises. The earth emerges from the sea, green again. Balder returns from hell, along with his blind brother H. To human survivors, Lifia and Liftrazir emerge from the branches of Yggdrasil to repopulate the world. The cycle begins anew. Freyja falls to the fire giant Surtur, lacking his magical sword. Heimdall and Loki slay each other. The world burns. Asgard collapses into ash. Mountains fall, and the oceans swallow the land. But this is not the end. After the smoke clears, the world is reborn. Echoes of the Norse gods, legacy beyond time. Though the Norse gods have long since vanished from temples and altars, their stories remain deeply rooted in culture, language, and memory. They were not perfect beings, not immortal in the way many imagine. They suffered, struggled, made mistakes, and in the end, faced their own destruction. But this is precisely why their myths endure. The Norse gods were not distant ideals. The days of the week still carry their names. Tuesday for Tyr, Wednesday for Odin, Thursday for Thor, and Friday for Frigg. Fantasy literature, video games, films, and popular culture continue to draw heavily from Norse mythology. Characters inspired by Thor, Loki, and Odin appear not just in ancient texts, but in modern epics that span the globe. They were reflections of human experience, magnified on a cosmic scale. Odin, the Allfather, represents the relentless pursuit of knowledge, even at great personal cost. Thor, with his mighty hammer, stands for courage and duty. Loki is chaos incarnate, not evil, but wild and unpredictable, challenging the very fabric of order. Frigg shows us that wisdom can come in silence, while Balder reveals the tragedy of innocence lost. Freyja and Freyja symbolize fertility and life's pleasures, while Tyr reminds us that honor sometimes demands painful sacrifice. These gods were born from an ancient worldview, forged in harsh northern lands where survival depended on strength, cunning, and cooperation. Their myths were passed down through sagas, carved in runes, and woven into poetry by schools, poets who shaped the identity of the Norse people. These stories guided morals, explained nature, and gave comfort in a world full of danger and uncertainty. Even today, their influence is everywhere.